Sicario, Day of the Soldado. This is obviously the sequel to the first Sicario film. This one is not directed by Denis Villeneuve. I'm not sure who the director is, to be honest, but it is not Denis Villeneuve, that's all I know. This one is following on to Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin's characters. I think with the first one, I really enjoyed the first one. I loved the realism, I loved the intensity of the movie, but it kind of shut completely Emily Blunt's story down. It ended it. And by creating a new sequel, it didn't make sense to me. I was like, why are they doing this? I only recently watched Sicario, so I hadn't seen any trailers for the second one or anything. So I was thinking, what is the point of this sequel? This sequel is kind of unneeded. The way they approached it, though, made it not necessarily needed, but it made sense that there was a sequel. They followed up with more of Benicio del Toro's character, because he was a very, very good character in the first film, and it made sense to see more of him. And apparently the reason they took out Emily Blunt as well, not only for story reasons, but apparently to take away the moral compass, because the first film, she definitely is that moral compass to Brolin and del Toro's character, that you're like, what the fuck are these guys doing? And that happens again in this film, but there's nothing stopping them. This movie goes so much harder than the first one with some of the scenes, and there's nothing stopping it. They kind of, I think, slow down and bring out a more moral side of del Toro, and he definitely is playing more of a tame version of the first character, but he still has that aggression and ruthlessness, but he just doesn't bring it out as often as he did in the first film. And I think that definitely benefits the movie. I think making him when he was the shining character in the first film, as much as Emily Blunt was great, Josh Brolin was great, del Toro stood out. He stood out again in this one, so making him the main character made a lot of sense, and he killed it. Again, he was phenomenal. I spoke about on my podcast not too long ago that he was one of the best actors this year I've seen. He was great in this role. Brolin, again, was very good. Definitely a ruthless as well. He definitely brings that more of a side out of it, because with the first one, it was kind of more of a, I wonder what these guys are doing. Like, we know what the story is, kind of, okay, get here, A to B, but you're like, what are these guys doing to get to there? Whereas now it kind of is more complex, but it lays it out on the line, and you know what is complex about the story, and you know what is happening. And I feel like that is such a smart thing to me, because it became easier to invest in them, even though the story wasn't complex, but you saw Brolin and del Toro going off in ruthless aggression, realism, and that's something that, I mean, has the movie, you know, really well regarded in my sense. It's real as hell. This is one of the most real movies you'll ever see. They take something very politically correct and not, I mean, I'm not politically correct, but not politically correct, and they're taking something that's fucked up and in real life, and like, no, this actually happens. This shit is happening with this Mexican cartel and all this stuff that happened between the border, you know, between America and Mexico. They focus on that, and I love that sense of the movie. Even the violence in this film is so full on, it is so blunt, it is so aggressive and real, and it makes you realize, you're like, shit, is this actually happening? And yes, it is. At sometimes you feel like you're not just watching a movie, you're watching something actually happen that is real in front of you, and you're like, fuck, this is impactful. And that's something they did really, really well. The movie doesn't follow, the way they do things isn't in any way cinematic. It is real, and now I'm obviously adding cinematic touches to it, but just the things that happen and the way they end scenes and end moments and end the movie isn't stuff you see in Hollywood every day, and this movie is very good for that reason. Obviously, it isn't kind of my genre of film, regardless of how good and real it is. Similar to the first one, it isn't something that I'm begging to watch over and over again, and that's kind of a minor flaw to me, because yes, it's great to watch, but it's so full on and it is so real, and it's like, all right, I'm not even an action guy and you're giving me real action. Yeah, it's gonna hit me a little bit, and it's something that I'm gonna go, fuck, okay, yep. It doesn't necessarily become boring because it is so real, but I can understand why you might necessarily tune out a little bit or not be right as engaged, because it's something hard to follow at times. Same with the first one. It's a problem I had with the first one. But I think this movie is so well made and so well done. Obviously, again, Denis Villeneuve not directing it, but I think this is a great film nonetheless. And I'm giving Sicario, Day of the Soldado, a B. Thank you guys for watching my review of Sicario 2, obviously. I'm hoping my editing skills was right and crisp there, because I did get interrupted mid-rant, and not rant, but just passion into this review, and even now that, you know, little bit of background now, hopefully the background noise doesn't get into this review and ruin it. It only the end portion of this video, but thank you guys for watching. I'm dropping a Blu-ray update tomorrow. Check that one out. Check out my other reviews, my channel update. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, comment below. But of course, guys, have a good one.